What's up, y'all? It's KB. And if you're like me, you love movies too. Welcome to another episode of The Conversation. Like I always like to say, it's not called the interview, it's called the conversation. We like to have fellow movie lovers on here just to talk about our favorite topic, all genres and everything. I am starting a podcast for every one of you who said to me, I listen in my car, or I don't get to see your face because I'm listening to it while I'm driving to work, or I'm out, door dashing or whatever, and I'm just playing you in the background. Thank you. First of all, I really appreciate your viewership, listenership, however you see it. But in light of that, I've started a audio only podcast edition of this. It will be a combination of exclusive conversations to the podcast, as well as kind of like a greatest hits of past conversations that we've had here on YouTube, just edited down and made kind of like ready for a podcast situation. So intros, outros, music, all that good stuff. So I'll announce it on Instagram and social media altogether, but check it out when you do. Let me know what you think and how it can be improved. Always looking for ways to be improving. So tonight on the conversation, we have a multi-hyphenate director joining us. I had a chance to check out his latest feature film called Tie Dye, and I had originally seen that it was going to be one of the movies featured at Panic Fest. If you've been here before, you've heard me talking about Panic Fest. It's the film festival that I look forward to here in Kansas City every year. I've met people such as Heather Langenkamp and Robert Crampton, Eduardo Sanchez and Michael C. Williams from Blair Witch Project there. And I don't know who I'm going to meet this year, but I had an opportunity to see one of the films already. And as soon as I found out about this, I checked out the trailer. I said, I got to check out this trailer first. And as soon as I was like, can you just come in the conversation? Let's talk about it. I want to show you the trailer because it's really cool. So I'm just going to fire that up for a minute. And then when we come back, we'll meet our guest tonight. So how do I do this? Okay, here we go. This is where I show my skills here. There we go. Because I want to have me on the screen. Oh, it's not working. Let me try that again. There we go.
This is Ranger Jones. Ranger Jones. There's been two kids. Two kids have been horribly murdered in the forest. Looks like a bear attack.
Bear attack? The entire park is closed?
Can we go back to the rock that doesn't have killer bears? Who's that?
The woods?
Todd, where are you?
Let me go check it out.
Oh, come on. What do you think, the bear's gonna get you? You definitely have to go, right now. Another person's been killed. Well, I'd take a look at them kids in there. You tell me nothing short of a monster did that. Guess I better close the park.
Oh, man. Joining us tonight, we have Morgan Miller. How's it going, man?
Hey, KB. Good, how are you? Thanks for having me on.
I love seeing that. Hold on 1 second. I got to stop this thing now. Okay, there we go.
Cool.
I hope no one heard that, but if they did, it doesn't matter. All right. So how's it going tonight?
It's going good. Yeah, it's nice to talk to you. I love movies. That's all I think about. So when I saw the
Yeah.
name of your channel, I was like, that sounds perfect. One thing I
Yeah.
can talk about for endlessly.
Same here. Same here. I last year I went through this stage where, we're movie lovers. We go to the cinema, we stream, we buy physical media,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of us don't know how movies are made. So I had a couple of conversations with different people who make movies, whether it's a director or producer. What does a producer do? Things like that, actors. And I think it's fascinating. There is like a certain magic behind movie making, and it doesn't matter if you're a screenwriter, someone working in craft services, anything. If you're, like I mentioned before, someone who's directing, producing, editing a
Yeah.
movie as well as writing it, I think that brings a certain element of closeness to a movie. So when I saw your credentials on this one, I was like, oh yeah, we definitely need to talk. So I'm happy to have you here.
Yeah, happy to be here. Making movies was something I've done since I was a kid, pretty much. On our family's camcorder, I would edit as we were shooting. We would shoot a scene someplace, and then I'd have to cut and go back,
Mhm.
like physically, kind of like edit as we were shooting, which was kind of funny to think about now.
Yeah. And
uh,
now Edgar Wright, that's how he shoots movies. So you were ahead of your time.
oh, is it how he shoots?
Yeah, he literally has a editing rig on set. So let's say he has a truck that's like with a camera doing a chase scene or something like that. On the back of that camera or on the back of that rig, he has like an editing bay there with like a MacBook Pro and a couple of hard drives connected to it. So it's like from
Oh, wow.
camera to editing bay, and he's editing on set. It's
Wow,
crazy. It's
that's impressive.
crazy.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
you see his movies and you see the effects of it. You see the work that goes into it.
Oh yeah, especially him. His was it Scott Pilgrim versus the World is
Mhm.
one of my favorite editing. It's like it's kind of like written into the script how it just cuts back and forth, and so that was a
Yeah.
big influence when I saw that movie.
Yeah. Um, I was I always try to do my research and, try to come up with unique questions. And I normally have like some kind of sports hat on, but I have my Hawaii hat on
Oh,
tonight.
cool. Oh,
You're
nice.
you're a bit of a traveler. Tell us about traveling and w- working
Yeah,
that into filmmaking.
yeah. I've always loved traveling. Actually, I kind of just grew up traveling a bunch, but then when I went to film school, I had to wait a semester to get into the film gate, and so there was like a semester where I couldn't take any classes that were related to film, and so I just decided to study abroad because it was
Yeah.
about the same thing. And so I went to Peru and lived there for about 6 months, and
Oh,
then
wow.
this past trip, through my girlfriend, she's part of this like indigenous rights group that's based out of Australia, and they needed a documentarian for one of their trips in New Zealand. So
Mhm.
because I was dating her, I got the job to be their to make a documentary for them. So I did that and made like a lot of friends that way. And this past trip, we were just reconnecting with all those people because
Yeah.
we hadn't seen them since before COVID. So
Yeah.
the
That
Hawaii,
really separated
Australia,
a lot of people.
yeah, it did. Yeah,
So
it
was that
affected
like your
our.
first feature, the documentary?
Yes, it was. Yeah, I cut it to be like an hour long on a TV station because that was our aim. There's a big it's called NITV. It's like an indigenous TV station in Australia that we tried getting it on.
Mhm.
But we didn't meet all their requirements, so it's just on YouTube right now.
Cool. Cool.
Yeah,
We are not alone. We have people joining us, and we'll have more people popping in. If you've been
cool.
here before, welcome back. If it's your first time here, welcome. Let's see, just a couple of them. It's the third KB telling me have fun. That's my daughter.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
and we also have Adrian James saying hello. Hello to you, sir. If you have any questions for Morgan as we go on, just feel free to just chime in. But
Uh,
I like to do this thing we have the 5 takes at the end, and we're not finishing already. But just to start, I like to do this thing that leads up to it. So I call it the 5 before the 5, but it usually ends up being more than 5 or not exactly 5. So we'll just roll with that for now. But we're gonna reward the people who are here early and not bury the lead. Tie Dye, your movie that's going
Yeah.
around right now.
Yes.
How did you get Joe Bob and Lloyd Kaufman to do this movie?
I made a short that Troma now acquired, and that got me in touch with Lloyd. And I literally just sent him the script and said to his agent or his assistant actually, and he said that he was interested in doing it. So he when he arrived in West Virginia, he said his business partner Michael Hertz was like, "Why are you going to West Virginia to do a movie?" And he goes, "I've never been there, and it sounded fun." So
Yeah. It was really cool to see, Mr. Troma himself,
Yeah.
on this. When I first, I'm trying to remember. I think I saw. It wasn't the trailer that I saw first. It had to be like maybe maybe the snapshot with their names at the bottom. Maybe that was the first thing I saw, and I was like, Joe Bob and Lloyd Kaufman?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So it was like instant intrigue, and I'm sure you're getting a lot of that as you go around with the film. So it was just interesting, watching the movie to see them in it. Were there any meetings between them two? Because I mean, you could easily, through the magic of editing, make it look like they were together at any time.
That's what happened. We filmed Lloyd's stuff first, and then we actually had another actor that was going to be the sheriff, and he fell out last second, and we ended up getting Joe Bob like way after. Like it was probably 100 days that we filmed that later than Lloyd's conversations on the phone with him. But it ended up working out because Joe Bob was like a way bigger star than the person we originally intended to use. So. And he wasn't involved in a union, so we were non-union, so that kind of limited us and like who we could get. Because I tried some other like horror legends like Kane Hodder and like Linnea Quigley. I reached out to them, but they're part of the SAG, and so I didn't want to have to do that for this film.
Just trying to think about different things. So it was actually filmed in West Virginia on location.
Yeah, and the house where like the main serial killer lives is the house that I live in. So it was like our house, and which I don't necessarily recommend because it's just a lot of everyone's at your house all the time. You get time, and I feel bad for my girlfriend because it was like 2 years nonstop. She signed on to make this movie.
Yeah, and you got rigs all over the place, wires.
Yeah.
How long did it take?
We started July 4th in 2022. We did most of the like principal photography ended probably that October of 2022. And then I was editing and doing like insert shots until September of last year.
Wow.
Yeah.
A real labor of love for sure.
Yeah, it took a while. And the guy who plays the bear hunter, Chris Ferris, is also he did all the makeup, special effects. And he was also the executive producer, and he helped it. Like any shot that's like of someone's hands, it's usually him, helping me out later.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I see some influences there. Like I see a little bit of Raimi influence on certain shots with the quick editing and so forth. But did you have any certain like films that you use as inspiration while you were writing, or maybe even during your style of editing or anything like that?
Well, actually, yeah, I could pinpoint when I was writing. A friend of mine showed me a TV movie, The Deliberate Stranger, based on like Ted Bundy. And I didn't know anything. I'd heard of Ted Bundy, but I didn't know any of his like story or like, the details of his killings. And after watching that, it really inspired me to like pick up the script and another big part, not movie related, but that they make like those plant wave. It's called a plant wave, but you can actually hook your plant up to it and it'll make noise and stuff. And I got one for my girlfriend for Christmas, and it didn't take me long to like think of like killing a plant and what it would sound like, and then I just thought of killing people.
That was an interesting part of it, because the I don't want to give away anything about the movie, but it's like the oscilloscope use
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the movie. What do they call it?
Yeah.
Oscilloscope graphics or what
So
have you?
is what the graphic artist who we use. That's what he calls his work. But yeah,
Yeah.
telescope or yeah, it's really beautiful. He's out of gosh, what country is it? It's Slovakia. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, he was really his stuff is next level. That ended up working out because we had another guy initially we wanted to use, and he he didn't care for the subject matter of the movie, so we ended up finding this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the nice thing about the trailer is it doesn't really give away too much. So if you had to make a synopsis of the movie, which I'm sure, selling it to festivals and so forth, you've had to write some type of copy for it or whatever. How would you describe the film?
Yeah, I would describe it as sort of selling it as like a twist on the Killer Bear movie, like genre of movies,
Hmm.
but also kind of like a revamped like slasher sort of thing with a lot of heavy dose of music, because I'm a
Yeah.
musician too, and I kind of got all those ideas from playing music too, but I had an amazing film composer who lives in Elkins, and his band is actually in the movie, so that's
I
him on
was
guitar.
going to ask that if that was the guy who's in charge, I guess, music supervisor, if that was like his
Oh,
band
yeah,
or whatever.
yeah, and most of like the diegetic music
Yeah,
is actually his as well, so
that's
it's all
cool.
throughout the movie.
That's cool. I really dug that, because as soon as I saw them, I was like, I wonder,
Yeah, yep,
how
that's
it all ties in.
yeah,
I don't know. In the last couple of months, I still try to get out to the cinema and everything. And I think the most fun that I've had was with various horror comedies. So
yeah.
whether it's something like Hard Eyes or what's the other one I just went to see recently? Oh, like The Monkey.
Yeah, the monkey was really good. Yeah.
Yeah, and people are divisive on the two of them as far as like rom-com horror, how does that mix up, and you know, or just straight comedy being inserted into horror movies. But how do you see that horror subgenre, especially the way you use it in this film here?
Yeah, I mean, that's always been my favorite like subgenre of like horror. I mean, but I have a twisted sense of humor where if someone his face explodes, I'm laughing. I'm the one guy in the theater people probably hate because I'm laughing super hard at that, even during
Yeah.
like a serious movie.
Hmm.
So
That's
to
funny.
me, it just kind of blends naturally. And when I was a kid, Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2 were the movies that I saw probably too young, but they were. I saw that and thought people could do this for a living. That's what I want to do.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
we, we got some more people joining us here in the chat. What's up, Big Rod? Thanks for hanging out. Hey, Paula, hello to you. We got Michael checking in, saying if you need an editor,
Oh,
tell me
cool.
where his website is on IMDb and all that good stuff. We got Steve Moody in the house saying what's up. Who else? Who else? Everybody saying hi to each other. Keep it up. Keep going away at the chat. If you have any questions, feel free to ask away. We got JC saying Morgan with a cute
Hey,
little dog as his avatar.
oh,
Hello.
looks like potato. Hey, Jonna.
Oh man. There was some other questions that I had. I have them all listed, but I have them in two different places.
Oh, it's all good. I see
The
your 7 DVD back in the background. Is that the new 4K?
Yeah, I had it since like the DVD days, and that was like a digibook, and I thought the new one was going to come out looking very similar with the packaging. And then when I saw it, I was like, I think I'd rather get the Steelbook. And by that point, the American Steelbook was sold out. So this is
Oh,
the Steelbook from the UK.
oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I do imports every once in a while. I don't try to go overboard because, physical media is getting expensive.
It is, yeah. And I collect too. So I
Mhm.
have a home theater that I built during COVID, and it's
Good
just
time.
addicted. So
What are
yeah.
some of your recent pickups that you enjoy?
Well, since our trip, I haven't bought many, but my last one I got was The Substance and the new like 4K of The Keep, and they had
Mhm.
the musical Vinegar Syndrome put out.
Okay, so you're into boutiques as well then.
Yes, I am.
Nice, nice. I
Yeah,
I try to keep it to once a month when I look at the boutique stuff, and I'm like, "What's
that's a good
coming
one.
up next month?" And
Yeah,
then I'm like, "Okay,
yeah.
let me focus on that," because if I'm on there daily, it adds up quickly.
It does. It does. My girlfriend's always like, "You got another movie?" In the mail.
What I try to do is like, I just made an order to Shout Select, and someone said, "Oh, you should make a video with your purchases." I normally don't do that too often, but it's like, wow, I wanted all these movies since when JFK first came out on Shout Select. So I'm gonna, I put everything in the cart, and then I said, "Oh, when the sale starts, I'll just remove, selective." I didn't remove anything, so
Yep. Oh, yeah.
I just have them all here, and I'm like, "Ooh, I may have overdone it a bit, but it's all
Yeah.
good."
I've
As
done
long
that.
as you watch them, that's
Yeah.
my thing.
Yeah. That's a big part of it. My next
Yeah.
purchase will be Amadeus. I can't wait to get that one. 4K.
Yeah. That my daughter who said hello earlier, she from the time she was like a teenager, loved Amadeus, and I
Yeah.
like the movie too, but, that's not typically what you hear a teenager saying, "I love Amadeus." "Really?" But
Yeah.
she really dug it, so I said, "We will be getting the 4K of that." So she's, like, very
Awesome.
happy about that. So
I
I
love that.
checked it out already. It looks and sounds wonderful. So
Cool. That's good to know. Yeah. 'Cause
yeah.
Milos Forman is one of my favorite filmmakers. He's probably
Yeah.
top five for me.
I'm still waiting for Cuckoo's Nest.
Yeah. That seems kind of weird. It's not out yet.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think that would be a really good addition to the
Yeah.
collection. And I think this is the anniversary year, right? 75, because that won over Jaws at the Oscars. Yeah.
Yep.
So perfect time.
Yeah.
Perfect time.
Now's the time.
Um So, do you have any relation to the Appalachians, or what made you choose West Virginia? Just because close to home, or?
Yeah, I'm from Morgantown, well, that's where I was born. But I grew up
Mhm.
in the Bridgeport area, and we moved to where I shot the film. I moved there after college, Davis, but um, my family's had like a cabin there my whole life, so I've kind of been up in the wilderness there, Canadian Valley, for off and on my whole life, and I grew up mountain biking, spent a lot of time in nature and skiing, and so we've got a bunch of woods here, and there's just a lot of like beauty here. And then there's a lot of horror films that take place like in West Virginia that aren't actually shot here. So that was kind of
Mhm.
like the start of my like thinking of we should do a horror film that's like actually shot here,
Yeah,
because I
yeah.
love Tucker Dale versus Evil, but it's like it's not West Virginia at all. When it says that at the beginning,
Mhm.
movie where I started writing it, like it needs to be in Virginia.
That was the first one I thought of, when I saw that it was West Virginia. I was like, "Oh, I like Tucker versus,"
Yeah, I love
and,
that movie too. It's hilarious.
and the other one is, and I got this from the trailer just temporarily because you start to watch a movie and, that feeling goes away, was Cocaine Bear. I don't know why.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Maybe because it's supposed to be like a bear, doing
right.
all of
Yeah.
this supposedly, and I'm like, "Is this gonna be like Cocaine Bear?" And then you start to watch, you're like, "No, no, it's not."
Yeah, that
But
was intentional to make that connection because I started writing this like a couple years before that movie came
mhm,
out, and then once we did crew T-shirts, it was just like a big bear, and that's what everyone would say that didn't know. It's just like, is this a Cocaine Bear movie?
yeah,
So it's funny, and I purposely didn't watch that movie until I was done with this because I didn't want that to like influence me.
very
So
smart, very smart. It I don't know, for me, it played more like a after school movie that you would see, where things were purposely disjointed and character development, and then why are we developing these characters, and then it would be shifting back to like the a plot, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, we forgot about this, what about
yeah,
the
yeah,
bear?
yeah.
did the characters that you have in the movie, the primary characters, were they inspired by anyone that you know, or just like
Uh,
stereotypes of people that you would see from like hanging out, camping or being in the woods or whatever?
I guess Greg, that character was kind of like that stereotype where the guy with the beard who ends up dying first from the oh spoiler alert, but
Yeah.
he's the guy in the back seat when they first pick up the hitchhiker.
Hmm.
He's kind of like just a stereotype. And I guess the main guy, I was inspired by going to like a rainbow fest in Montana where I went to school,
Yeah.
and there was a lot of good-hearted people, but there were some that just kind of felt off there too, and so that
Yeah.
kind of that was another inspiration for the film, was like a hippie character that wasn't so peace and loving, you know.
Yeah. I when I watched it, I said, "This is perfect timing. I'm getting ready to go out to Colorado in a couple weeks." And there's always that peace and love guy, like you're saying, and
Yeah.
there's always a little bit something sus about him, a little
Yeah.
sketchy. And I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
you're gonna
way
be in
too
the Rocky
nice.
Mountain. I don't know if I trust you or not. I,
Yeah, exactly.
and one thing that's not given away in the trailer is but if you read any reviews, which it's nice to see people giving it positive reviews, like on Letterboxd and IMDb and so forth,
Yeah.
is the drug part of the movie. I'll just say
Yeah.
the drug element of the movie. So,
Yeah.
is that meant to bring in the comedy there, or is it just like par for the course based on where it takes place? How did that make it into things?
Yeah, you know what? When you're making the movie and writing it, you don't really think of all that, and then after the fact, I started reading reviews where people were saying drug fueled and stuff, and
Yeah,
then that's the first time I actually thought about it. I'm like, oh yeah, it is very drug fueled. But you're writing it, you don't really think of it. I An earlier draft was a lot more weed heavy. I had that element in it, and I remember, just because that's been done so much, that my girlfriend is like has been a naturalist, and so she knows a lot of herbs and mushrooms and stuff. And so I
yeah,
was just, well, how about we do like mushrooms instead,
yeah,
instead of a weed like kind of movie.
yeah, and just be the next one.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And where we live particularly, there's like a bunch of mushrooms that grow everywhere. So it
Oh,
was kind
I'm
of
sure.
the
I'm
ones we
sure.
were using in the film were just, they're growing in my yard. So
Big Rod adds here, the Appalachian Trail has seen its fair share of murderers. Yeah,
yeah,
it's something, just to go back to the horror aspect of things, there's something mysterious and suspenseful about being in remote places,
yeah,
whether, it's remote outdoor places or that creepy farmhouse or whatever the case may be. But yeah, it's, dare I say it, easy to hide a murder in the woods.
yeah. Well, the infamous story where I'm at now in Morgantown is these two college girls had hitchhiking in the 70s and got their heads cut off, and I think they found the bodies but never found the heads and never found who did it.
Hmm.
But I grew up hearing about that because my mom went to WVU where Morgantown is, and
Yeah.
it was a big rule like in our house, don't hitchhike because this happened.
Yeah. It's, I don't know. It's like it adds to the mystery. Some filmmakers will use the night or the dark to add mystery. Sometimes the location could just add mystery and suspense to it. So
Yeah.
there's always that too. Um, there was something I wanted to ask you, but before that, how has it been as far as getting the movie out there? I know you had the film festival in my hometown of New York City, and
Yeah.
now, as you mentioned, it's going to be at Panic Fest. How's it been? Do you actually go around shopping it, or do you hear about film festivals and you submit it? How does that work? Because I don't know.
Yeah, there's a great website, Film Freeway, that kind of has them all listed, and I'll use that a bunch and try to go for the top kind of like horror fest with this one. But it's been really well received. Like, every show I've been to, it's been a lot of laughs, and especially here in West Virginia, people like love it. So I couldn't ask for a better reception than that.
Yeah,
Especially where we filmed it. We had a screening at the we have like a local music venue, and they turned it into like a theater for one night, and they hosted the premiere, and a bunch of the community came out, a lot of people who were involved in the cast and crew. So that meant a lot, you know, that they liked it, and we had a encore screening like right afterwards too, so people
That's cool.
yeah.
That is so cool.
Yes.
It's kind of like I always say about like shows like Seinfeld and even like Law and Order SVU, you know, those take place in New York City, and there are little jokes and nuances, and I'm like, how do people like the show? You don't even get the inside jokes, but you don't need to. It's just like a little added extra if you're from that area. So, you know, here it is. If you're from West Virginia and you're used to being on the trail and all that stuff, and now you get those little jokes from, you know, from hiking or camping or whatever the case may be, or you see like a point that, you know, you're like, oh yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
But I always used to wonder that, like, how do you get that joke? You're not a New Yorker. How do you get that? But I guess it translates.
There's one sequence that's always gets a laugh from people from West Virginia, because it's a montage of them driving, and the geography is like 4 hours between locations, you know, like the landmark of the National Gorge, you know, like bridge, and back to Blackwater Falls, which is like 3 hours away.
Yeah.
And I can always tell if like people are from West Virginia, because they'll laugh at that sequence.
Yeah. They're like, that doesn't work.
Yeah. They're yeah, there but now.
Yeah. But see, that's what I'm saying. You would know because you're like, I know the geography of this. It doesn't make sense.
Right.
But me watching, I'm like, oh, that's so pretty.
Right. Yeah. What I wanted to go for, you know, because West Virginia is so pretty. I wanted to make it almost like a tourism video that seems like kind of skewed, you know.
Maybe you shouldn't have picked a horror genre.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, but it definitely is pretty to look at. I'll say that much.
Oh, thank you very much.
It's well shot, and I enjoyed it. You know, the thing with Panic Fest is you have your movies that play shorts, long form features, and then you have a separate set of films which will be shown virtually. And there are people who only get the virtual passes. That way, they don't necessarily have to be in Kansas City, and they could just watch shorts and features online. And I believe yours was picked for virtual.
Yes, yeah, we're part of the virtual festival. Yeah, so it'll be streaming. I believe the whole duration of the festival. But me and Chris Ferris, who's the film's executive producer, we're heading out to Kansas City Thursday through Sunday to kind of help shop the film and get people just aware.
So I'm gonna get a chance to meet you because I'll be there.
Well, we'll be there. Yeah.
Dope. I didn't even think about that. That if you're not showing your film like there, will it be shown physically as well or just virtual?
No, just virtual. But I'm
Okay.
gonna be out like pamphlets and stuff, and probably bring some merch, you know, just to spread the word.
Oh, definitely. You know, find me. I'm very
Yeah,
hard to miss. I'm 6'5". It's very hard to miss me. But yeah, if you got some merch for me, throw it my way. I would gladly wear it, you know,
for
and do a
sure.
little promotion.
Oh,
That'd be fun.
appreciate it. Heck yeah,
All right.
yeah. Look forward to it, because it seems like a really big festival.
It is, and it's fun. What I like about it is, you know, a lot of people go to cons or they'll go to a larger film festival and they can't even get within like a reach of not necessarily a celebrity, but somebody from a film.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm hanging out at the bar next to Barbara Crampton.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
and that was the day after me and my friends from the Rad Pack are hanging out outside. We had just watched, I want to say it was Evil Dead Rise, the
Oh, yeah.
premiere of Evil Dead Rise, and she was walking back to her car and just talking to us.
Wow, that's
La-
awesome.
Last year, I'm standing outside talking to another filmmaker, my friend Jill Six, who made the movie The Stylist, and she just made Ghost Game this year or last year. And she's like, "Do you know Eduardo?" And I was like, "No." And I turn and there's this 6'7" guy next to me. So anyone taller than me, I want to talk to. And I'm talking to him, and it's like 5 minutes into the conversation, I'm like, Ed Sanchez, Eduardo. "Oh my god, you're the director of the Blair Witch Project."
Oh
And
wow.
he's talking to me, and he's telling me how, this UK company got all of their films, and they're gonna bring it out on physical, and turns out they were talking, boutique labels, they were talking about Second Sight. So
Oh,
I knew about that
awesome.
coming out from talking to
To
Ed
him,
Sanchez, and then I go back in, and, like, an hour later, I'm taking a picture with him and Michael C. Williams from Blair Witch Project, who's really, really short. So here we are, 6'5", 6'7", and we have, like, short Michael C. Williams between us. It was comedic. If you go on my Instagram, you'll see it somewhere.
oh, cool.
But
That's fun.
that's the kind of vibe. It's like a really laid back vibe, and you never know who's gonna just show up and hang out. We have local people coming. Spider One and Christy Fox comes, whether they're showing a film or not. They bring their little daughter with them. I would love to see. They're not going to do it, of course, because there's physical release and it's on Shutter. But if the timing was right, I would love to see Little Bites on that big screen with them, and they
Yeah.
just hang out. We watched not Reanimate. We watched From Beyond with Barbara 2 years
Oh,
ago.
that's cool. I
You
love
know,
that. Yeah.
stuff like that happens. Last year it was I'm sitting in front. After talking to Joe Lynch, I went and I sat in my seat, and I looked behind, and we're about to watch the 40th anniversary of Nightmare on Elm Street. Oh, Heather Langenkamp is here.
Wow.
She's sitting right behind me.
Yeah, that is great. Wow.
So it's very laid back, and it's a great atmosphere. Adam is great, who owns Screenland, and
Oh,
so
yeah.
is
I've been talking to him. Yeah.
yeah. Um, they're both great, the guys who run Panic Fest. So it's a great time. So I'm sure you'll have fun, and the Saturday night party is worth staying up for. So
Oh, cool. That's good to know.
yes, yeah.
Thanks for
All
that tip.
all right, let's
Makes me even more
transition in.
excited to
What,
go.
what's that?
That gets me even more excited to go.
There you go. There you go. That's the way you got to think about it. I mean,
Yeah.
as soon as you walk in, there's a bar right there, so you could get popcorn, you could get food, you could get drinks, libations of all sorts. So
Yeah. And I'm just a horror fan, like film fan. So I'm
yeah,
excited to see the films there that aren't ours.
yeah. And like I said, everyone there are true movie fans, and you don't have to worry about who has their phone out. They're very respectful to the art form. And
Cool.
that's what I love about going there. I could easily go to like a AMC or a Regal or whatever the case may be, but I'd rather do the 35-minute trek north of me to go there and enjoy the movie with other movie lovers.
Yeah, it makes a big difference, especially with
Yeah,
a packed theater.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
All right. You want to go through these 5 takes with me?
Sure. Yeah. Let's do it.
All right. The 5 takes, the questions that we ask at the end of every conversation. We start as we always do with number 1. Name the film that made you fall in love with the movies.
I feel like I have to mention The Jungle Book because that was the first movie. That was one of my first words was book, just to rewatch that over and over again. So
Yeah.
I have to say that one, but then also Evil Dead's the one that got me to want to make movies. Yeah, there's a lot. I could list a bunch, but I kind of want to save it for the second question too.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
That is actually both of them. Jungle Book came up recently with another guest, but the impact, and I don't know if it was the matter of video rentals based on people's age or just, all of the physical media releases. I don't know how many there are on DVD of Evil Dead, Evil Dead 2. I
Yeah,
remember going into video stores and just seeing that iconic Evil Dead 2
I know. Yeah,
poster with the skeleton face
yeah,
up close,
it is.
and something about it, man.
Yeah.
Something about it.
The end. Yeah, like the Dead Alive poster did that to me too as a kid. Where it's like, I just need to watch that.
Yeah, it draws you in for sure. All right. So number 2, name 5 of your favorite films.
Definitely Clockwork Orange is my favorite movie. I would try
Really?
like
All
every
right.
yeah. I think because I identify mainly as like an editor, and that was the first time I became aware of editing in a movie, especially with the the scene with like the dancing Christ, because I was blown away that it seemed like they were dancing, but they weren't moving at all. And so my kid brain kind of got obsessed with that. I probably shouldn't have seen that as a kid, but it stuck with me.
Yeah, there are certain scenes that we should introduce to kids for sure.
So,
Okay, so we have Clockwork Orange.
The first Evil Dead, because that was the inspiration for me picking up a camera. Raiders of the Lost
Here,
Ark.
before you go on, I have one. Rank the franchise, because to me that's one of the few franchises where there's no bad movie. But from your opinion, rank them best to worst.
I would go. So first is the first Evil Dead for me. Then Evil Dead 2. Then Army of Darkness. Then I would go Evil Dead Rise and the Evil Dead
2013.
Yeah. I love them all, but the first one just has like a creepy like vibe that none of the other ones have, you know.
Yeah,
and it was very like, as seen it as a kid and as a young filmmaker, I was like, I could do all this, you know, and it was like a very good like blueprint for like how to make a movie.
Yeah, for sure. And the thing is that I ask that question frequently, and there's no wrong answer. For one, it's your opinion. Two, usually people end up flip-flopping. It's either 1-2 or 2-1. Like for me, it's 2-1 because that was my foray into it. And then I went back and I saw 1. But like I said, from the poster to just first introduction to the franchise. So mine is 2-1 as far as those two top spots. But everyone has their own opinion.
1 and 2 are so close in my head, but I gotta give the edge. Yeah.
Definitely. What's your third film?
Raiders of the Lost Ark. That's probably, I mean, that theme song could like make me cry someday, you know, just because I as a kid would like hum those, you know, that first few notes anytime I was on a swing or, you know, bridge or anything.
Yeah.
Definitely Raiders of the Lost Ark.
I like that.
And
what
then,
else?
Third would be Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
Good.
I was a kid of the 90s, so that film was like huge then. And the very first day at kindergarten school, I actually dressed up as the Terminator. Spike nice. The leather jacket. Yeah. I've been obsessed with movies since I was like born, pretty much.
Your teacher's probably saying, "What is this one?"
Yeah, I was thinking that later on, like, what would they thought of me? You know.
There's something about certain movies like that where, to me, honestly, the sequel is better than the original. Not to poo-poo on the original, but there's something so special about T2. I don't know what it is.
I agree. Yeah, that movie's embedded in me. Like all the movies I've listed, but that one especially too. You know, just being a little boy in the 90s. You know, I loved Arnold, and that was like, you know, my personality for a while.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Give me one more.
I'd probably say 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Double Kubrick. Okay.
Yeah, he's my favorite filmmaker. I got kind of obsessed with him growing up. But yeah, those two Kubrick films are my favorite for sure.
Was it a movie you understood from the beginning, or did it take a couple of watches to get it?
2001, I think I think I saw Clockwork Orange first, and then I went to 2001, and I was just sort of so fascinated with his style of films, and I don't remember being bored because my mom doesn't like that movie at all, so because it's like so boring, she says, and slow, and so me and my dad would kind of watch that a bunch. And I just remember being fascinated. I've always loved space too. That was my like first major in college was astronomy. So it was kind of
really?
I love just that whole genre.
I know for a lot of people, you know, either like you said, they think it's slow, like your mom, or they don't get it. You know, there's certain movies that might take a couple of times for people to get. For me, I always found it fascinating, but I got a deeper understanding of it as time went on, and you know, multiple watches, and you know, thank God for film school and understanding movies better from a critical standpoint, you know, so I could stop hating Casablanca, thinking it was like a straight romance movie, and it's so much more than that. And then 2001, just realizing the progression that it was trying to show, and you know, Finally understanding how to say and spell monolith. Let's see who else added to the chat. Oh, we got a couple of people. We got Sam and Brendan from Our Life in Horror. How's it going? Hello to you.
Hey,
We got brother Dell on Movies. What's up, my man? Thanks for
hey.
popping in. Paula adding, good to see everyone. Definitely indeed. Dell just checked out Sing Sing Impactful. Yeah, talking about Screenland, I caught that last summer there. They have a couple of small theaters you'll see off to the side, and they'll show like indie films, which is really good because, you know, it's not just the big blockbusters.
Right.
It's a great place to also check out independent films. And I think A24 had a screening there before, you know, the award season and everyone talking about it. And I said, it's not Shawshank, but it's also, you know, it's kind of like a feel good prison movie, but it's not like too violent or too, you know, rosy colored, but it was just somewhere in the middle. So definitely like that.
Yeah, that's one I haven't seen yet.
Big Rod adds, who doesn't like a little bit of the ultra violence? You got that right.
Yeah.
Love Clockwork Orange. Yeah, I will never hear Singing in the Rain again because of that movie. Talking about the Evil Dead ranking, I want to say, is this Sam? Put it in the chat if this is Sam. I'm assuming it is. 2013 is my favorite. Love Mia. Yeah. Like I said, there's no bad movie in that franchise. And there's not a lot of franchises, especially horror franchises, that could say that. You know, you get to like 4 or 5 or more, and it's like you got a stinker in there somewhere. But I don't think there's any within the Evil Dead franchise.
No, yeah. I'm looking forward to their next couple because they're making 2 more, I think, by other filmmakers right now.
Yeah. Michael, as we mentioned before, he's out in California, so he has like collection. So he's saying Alfred Molina, who played Indy's partner in the beginning of Raiders, signed his DVD cover. That's cool.
That's awesome.
Special effects in T2 were groundbreaking at the time. It still is in comparison to what we see today.
Yeah, I think the pinnacle of them. Yeah, it's like the culmination of like all the art forms for special effects, and it's better.
And the thing I like about Cameron at the time, now it's, I don't think it's so much so because he has the money to take risks, but T2, he took risks, you know, working with Industrial Light and Magic, he took risks in T2. Avatar and Titanic, those weren't risks. That was just using the money to pay for the technology of the time, but still groundbreaking in both situations. Sam reminded everyone to hit the like button. Thank you very much. Even if you're watching this on replay, go ahead and hit the like button, leave a comment. If you haven't done so already, subscribe, all that good stuff. Rod asks, 2001 isn't necessarily underrated, but it's not talked about enough. I think that's a nowadays thing. You go back to the 60s and 70s, it was really talked about, from not only the novel being adapted, but to people wondering, hey, this technology looks a lot like what we saw in 1969. And then, of course, you followed up with The Shining and all the hints and clues and kind of tongue-in-cheek things down to, you know, NASA pajamas. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. Yeah.
But I watched the other day, I watched the documentary for All Mankind, and it still amazes me that we're able to travel to the moon.
I know. Yeah. I love watching that kind of stuff and reading about it. I'm reading Michael Collins's book, who is the other guy operating the module. Not Neil Armstrong or Buzz Aldrin, but he was the other guy alone that was just orbiting the moon. So I find that stuff like really fascinating.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I agree with Mom. 2001 story. I respect it and its influence. Can't watch it. Hey, we all have opinions on things.
Yeah.
It is Sam. What's up, girl?
Hey Sam, big fan.
Tell him I met Malcolm McDowell this year.
That's cool.
This year.
That's cool. You know, I actually sent the script to Tie-Dye to his agent to play the park ranger, and he responded. but I decided it probably wouldn't be the best fit. So
Lloyd works.
yeah, that's what I was
He's
thinking.
lovable in this movie,
Yeah,
guys. You got to check it out just
yeah.
to see that. I
He
wouldn't say he was my favorite character. I think Scott was,
oh, nice. Yeah.
but and that's to let you know what type of person I am. But um, but Lloyd is so lovable as a park ranger. Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
it's like you want to hug him like a grandpa.
yeah, that's actually so it was funny, the guy who played Scott didn't know who Lloyd was, and I kept calling Lloyd, Uncle Lloyd from like
Yeah,
his Instagram handle and stuff, and
yeah.
and I think for 3 days the actor playing Scott thought he was my uncle.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I just thought he was some family guy.
That was the question I was going to ask you. So a big fan of Trauma, Lloyd, and then movies like Orgasmo, I imagine, because of your
Yes.
is that where your
Yep.
Instagram came from?
Yes, it did. Yeah.
So, a little bit of a head, a tilt of the
Yeah,
cap there. So I
for
like
sure.
that.
Yeah. Cannibal the Musical was another big influence on me as a kid. I rented that a bunch.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's so cool. All right, number 3. Everybody's favorite. Name a popular or classic movie that everybody loves, but you don't particularly like it.
Well, I have a few written down. I guess first I'll start with Dead Ringers. I really don't like that movie at all.
Ah, okay. Talk
Yeah.
about it.
Well, I think that's my issue with it. It's a lot of talking, and like sometimes Cronenberg movies will kind of do that to me, where it's so like heavily like talk and dialogue orientated.
Yeah.
I just kind of it loses me, Like I need films to be more like entertaining. I guess you can tell by the ones I like, it's like
Yeah.
Terminator 2 and Raiders and stuff, where I like more films to kind of just take me on a ride. Like,
You want movement.
yeah, yeah,
I had that problem with Crimes of the Future because I felt like it was beautiful body horror
yeah,
surrounded by crazy dialogue
yeah,
that had me like, what am I watching? And then after a really intense body horror scene, there was more dialogue and then the credits roll. And I'm like, that's it?
yeah. That's
It's
exactly
over?
how I felt. Yeah, it's funny. But I love
So
the
I don't know what it was, but I don't. But
yeah,
Dead Ringers, that's a good one. That's a good one. Let's see. Okay, let's flip that and go to number 4. Name a critically hated movie that you love. Being a horror fan, we have plenty.
yeah. I know. I think I'll go with Cannibal Holocaust. Just because that one's shit on so much just for the animal violence, but
Yeah,
that movie's so great and was a big influence on me for this film, especially because when we were making it, Rogero Deodato just died. So I went on this huge kick
mhm,
watching all of his movies. And that one particularly,
yeah,
it's a classic. I mean, it's infamous, but like people kind of shit on it because of the animal killing.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't bother me.
Well, I think, you put that movie, you put things like Faces of Evil and all that, and it's almost like people who thought that was real,
Yeah.
it becomes controversial,
Yeah.
and then it's like, "What do you mean?" And I think they almost wanna treat it poorly because it they feel like they were sold like a false bill of goods in a sense. And then, yes, the animal cruelty on top of it in that case, but
Which I think you could do. I mean, if I were making that movie, I wouldn't be killing animals, but it's a product of its time. I don't hold that against it, is what I'm trying to say. I look kind
yeah,
of look past that and enjoy the film for what it is.
sure, sure. Well, uh, wanted to land this plane, but before I do, I wanna thank you.
Yeah, thank
Um,
you, maybe.
besides the, film festivals, where else do you have anywhere else that's gonna be showing the movie coming up
Um,
soon?
Actually, tomorrow it's screening in the capital, West Virginia, Charleston. I'm heading down there for a screening.
Mhm.
Um, under Taylor Books, it's Florley Hark Cohen Cinema. Yeah, so I'll be doing a Q&A and like selling merch and stuff there.
Nice. Yeah. And then you have Panic Fest coming up at
Yeah,
the
and then
end
we
of
have a
this
bunch of
month.
events coming up that we're still waiting to hear back from, and I'm sure we'll be touring, the U.S. like and starting with West Virginia. We get more
Yeah.
screens around this way.
Any streaming dates coming
Well,
up?
we're talking to a distributor about that, but we also kind of want to just play the film festival field and see
Yeah.
the best deal we can get. So
Yeah.
yeah, we have one kind of in mind, but yeah, we're trying to play the field still.
Red lettering starts with an S, maybe.
I hope.
I hear you. Well, now that you've been through the conversation, we're going to end with number 5, which is, who would you like to see me have a conversation with on this channel? And the thing is, you have to know them, so maybe you could even help me get them on.
Oh, cool. Yeah. I would recommend my two buddies who were the other big creatives on Tie Dye, which was Chris Ferris, and who was the bear hunter and the makeup, special effects, and executive producer. Because he loves films too, and he could talk like he's the first person I met beside like that love movies as much as me. So
Yeah.
I would recommend him, and then also the film's composer JB Tenney when he's able to. He loves films too, and this was a big checklist for him to do the film score. So
Yeah, and he did a really good job too, because I mean, my thing is when you have a score, it should fit with the movie. It shouldn't be like a needle drop where you just kind of put a song into a movie. It should fit the movie. That's the difference between a score and a soundtrack for me.
Oh
And
yeah,
his score works with the movie. So I like to see that for
that's
sure.
kind of funny because he said the exact same words to me as he was making it. It's like I like movies where you don't notice the score necessarily, and it just fits. So that was a conscious decision on his part.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it shows. You could definitely tell.
Yeah, it wouldn't be half the movie without his music. It's that good, in my opinion. It really carries the film.
I always wonder about that, like the people who like, being a physical media guy, when you have movies and you could like turn off the score or just do the opposite and just have the isolated score and no dialogue. Like I got in Alien 4K, and that
Oh,
has isolated tracks, so you could
oh,
just
wow.
listen to the score, no
Huh.
dialogue, and it's amazing how well it plays with just the music. It's almost like operatic. It's so beautiful.
Oh, I'll have
So,
to try that. Yeah, I didn't
yeah,
know they offered that.
yeah, it's really cool. So if you have that, definitely check that out.
I do. Yeah, yeah, I will. I love that film too. That's probably
Yeah,
the best like monster movie in my opinion. That or The Thing.
yeah,
Okay.
another great choice there too. But I always say the difference between Alien and Aliens is one is a sci-fi horror, the other one's a sci-fi action, and whichever one you tend to glom onto more is the one you like more. So,
Yeah.
and I know
What's funny, I
Sam's in
always
the chat.
preferred
She
Alien.
doesn't like Alien. She doesn't like
Well, I always
Halloween
preferred.
either.
Oh no no. Oh
No,
what? No Halloween.
I don't hold it against her.
Yeah.
What were you saying?
Oh, I was just gonna say, I always preferred Aliens until I went and saw Alien in the theater, and it just kind of blew me away.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like seeing it for the first time.
Yeah. There's
That's why my
something
mom.
about old movies on big screens just gives you a fresh perspective.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. I wish they would do that more, just like showcasing this classic films. So I
Mhm.
think you get a good, decent turnout too that way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Anytime they show something, especially now we have 35th, 40th, 50th
yeah.
anniversaries. Like you mentioned Seven. I have never seen that on a big screen. And right before the 4K came out, they had like a limited IMAX release of it. And I said to my wife, I was like, let's just go see it. I've never seen it on a big screen.
Yeah,
And, if you haven't seen a movie in a while and you see it on a big screen, it's like you said, it's like seeing it again for the first time. And
yeah,
I'm like, wow, this movie holds up,
yeah, it
whatever
does.
that means.
Yeah,
uh yes. See, once again, opinions. Give me T1 and Alien all day. So see, there it is. And Terminator, I think, plays more like a horror movie than T2 does, because it's kind of
yeah.
like You know,
Definitely is.
it's like that slasher motif. He's just going to keep coming after you, like a Michael Myers or what have you. So definitely,
Going
definitely.
back to Fincher though, I worked on Mindhunter as I was writing tie dye, so that was a big
Nice.
influence on tie dye as well because I wanted to portray a serial killer like very accurately.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love that show. It was so good.
Yeah.
So good. See, Dell agrees. He says T1 over T2.
I mean, I love them both, but
I love them both. Me too.
is
But
my favorite.
T2 is
Yeah.
up there for me.
Yeah. Me too.
The technology. Morgan, I normally say thank you and thanks for coming on because I don't think I'm going to see the person anytime soon. But for you, I'm going to say I will see you soon.
Yeah. I'll see you in a couple weeks.
That's right. But I do want to thank you for coming on the conversation. We're going to
Thank you.
have another one tomorrow. I'm going to have DJ Martinez from Films by Color. And as I mentioned before, for those of you that weren't here, I'm starting a podcast. The conversation's going to audio only for the podcast. So we're going to have exclusive conversations there as well as like the best of past conversations from the YouTube channel here. So it's going to be a nice little mix of the two. So I'll let you know on social media when I drop it. But until then, thank you once again, Morgan. And for everyone else, as I always say, go watch a movie. Have a good night, everyone.